So it's the getting towards the end of July now, and it's about the 23rd, I think, and this is where the grapevine is at, under my arbour, which we built in the spring, is full of grapes. There's the guardian, and around his head are grapes, and they're nowhere near ready yet. I suspect there'll be another month or so, but you can just see how many there are drooping down from the arbour. It's full of them, and whether we get to keep them all or whether the birds get to nick them, yet to see. It does tend to sort of grow a lot all over the place, and it's a job to keep it from strangling the trees. It seems to have got well and truly into this cherry tree here, which didn't last very long, but just keep pulling them out, that'll be okay. What else is happening? Hydrangea is doing okay, which never grew before anywhere else, but it's got covered with this bindweed stuff, which is everywhere. The two worst things in this allotment are the thistles and that bindweed. But look, here come plums, and I'm going around trying to protect them by putting this little net round the biggest bunches I can. Every time I come, I tie a couple of them up, but there's going to be too many to tie all of them, but the more we can protect, the better. Apples, all the trees are full of apples, which is pretty good. I'm sure they still need a hell of a lot of pruning to make them work better, but look, so many apples. The asparagus in this bed is finished, and I haven't done anything to this bed. I'm just going to turn this into a fairly wild flower bed with lupins and delphiniums and poppies and shit. The fruit cage was got by birds, but it's still a lot in there. More apples, and also in the orchard plenty of pears here. Look at them, they look good, don't they? Tons of pears on there. Long time to go for them as well, I think. Big bramble got in there somehow. That's come out. So don't know what that is. And that's the pear tree that's got nothing on it except for the two solitary pears there that came off one flower. So that tree needs some work on it somehow. Let's have a look in the fruit cage. There's some raspberries down there, which I haven't seen before. Don't expect too much of raspberries this year because it was the first year for them, and they all mostly came from the other allotment, so they're going to take a little while to get themselves growing again. But there we go, nice. Need to finish picking the black currants. Most of them came from the far side over there, and we picked most of those, but look at these red currants. Only half picked them, and must pick some more today. So there's tons to be had from red currants, and there's also quite a lot more to be had of gooseberries, which are now really soft and sweet. They're not, when they're soft like that, when you leave them a long time, they're not even vaguely sharp. I don't know if that's good or bad, but you can eat them, which is good. Cherries. What we managed to salvage from the birds, we made jam from all of it. But next year, I mean, the problem here was that this didn't work, basically. It's worked quite well, but the birds were getting in daily to get the cherries, so that this whole fruit cage needs to be rebuilt somehow. Not quite sure how, because the size of it would cost a fortune, so I don't know. Here's some blackberries now. Black currants, not blackberries. My little flower beds are starting to work now. Sweet Williams are all finished, so now it's time for things like the gladioli, which we've got a acid green one here, and the dahlias. Sweet peas, there's the nursery bed with delphiniums and stuff, and more nursery bed here with poppies, delphiniums and lupins. Sunflower screen, there's only sort of work, but not quite. I shall convert that into a proper willow hedge there. Here's the dahlia bed, and they're all just starting to flower now. Middle of July, so remember that. It's going to be more like end of July, start of August this year. But it's late. I'd have expected these at the beginning of July. But they're very nice, aren't they? And more gladioli down here to have. This bed was where I put all the onions in a bit of a rush when we first moved, which didn't work very well. We've got some, but not many. These are borlotti beans, and there's a whole row of spring onions down there, which is about my 4th attempt at them, but eventually they've worked. There's some Cavolo Nero for the winter, just putting in the winter greens now. Broad beans, successful, all yet to be picked. In fact, they're overdue now because they're getting big. Little nursery bed full of rocket there, had some success. These are tiny rocket plants, but they will grow big and bushy in the fullness of time. Vicky's made this bed and I'm not quite sure what's in there. Doesn't seem to be anything. Potatoes, total failure. They're horrible and hopeless. Don't know why. Probably because they were moved in a hurry and they weren't planted deliberately. I think those few there were planted deliberately and they worked. More stuff for the winter. Bed of leeks. And starting to sort this bed out over here. Nice row of leeks which are left to go to seed. I must pick these and put them in a vase. They look good, don't they? They look weird. So this bed was going to be the brassica bed, but it was got by the birds and stuff, but it seems to have recovered. Those are all vaguely calabrese, purple sprouting broccoli, bunch of spinach there, a lot of whatchamacallits, courgettes need to be picked before they just get too big and can't do anything with them. Artichokes coming along nicely, and quite a bit of asparagus in that bed there, needs tidying up still. Apart from that, sweet peas, moderately successful along the wall of the fruit cage there. Peas have been all dug up, they were a total failure as well, so must try harder on those. In fact, generally must try harder, probably, but it's still very nice here. Goodbye.